You know what they say about coming home early from a business trip. Sometimes you catch things you wish you hadn't. Sometimes you walk into a nightmare that's been waiting for you. My name is Richard Martinez. I'm 58 years old, and what I'm about to tell you changed everything I thought I knew about my family. Most people worry about coming home to an empty house. I came home early and found myself wishing to God it had been empty. Let me tell you why. Last Tuesday, my insurance conference in Phoenix wrapped up a full day early. The keynote speaker had some kind of family emergency, though. Honestly, looking at the crowd, I think he just lost the will to live. Either way, I was on the first flight back to Dallas. No calls made, no texts sent. After 30 years building my insurance brokerage from nothing into something respectable, I figured I'd surprise Patricia with dinner from that Italian place she loves on Mockingbird Lane. The flight was smooth, which should have been my first warning. Nothing ever goes that well when the universe is setting you up for a fall. I spent most of the flight thinking about how I'd been traveling too much lately, missing too many dinners at home. At 58, you start realizing that time with the people you love isn't unlimited. I was actually looking forward to a quiet evening with my wife, maybe watching one of those cooking shows she's obsessed with. I should have known something was wrong the moment I turned onto our street in Richardson. Tyler's car was in the driveway. Now Tyler is my son, 28 years old, married to Ashley for 3 years. They have their own place across town, a nice 2-bedroom apartment that I helped them furnish when he started working in IT systems. Tyler doesn't do surprise visits. The kid barely manages scheduled family dinners without finding some excuse to leave early. I sat in my car for a minute, staring at that white Honda Civic, and asked myself out loud, "Richard, why is your son's car in your driveway on a Tuesday afternoon?" Had no good answer. The last time Tyler showed up unannounced was 2 years ago when he needed to borrow money for Ashley's dental hygienist certification program. Even then, he called first. I grabbed my carry-on and laptop bag, straightened my tie out of habit, and walked to the front door. The second thing I noticed was the silence. Not peaceful silence, not everyone's taking a nap silence. The thick, heavy, something is very wrong kind of silence that makes your skin crawl and your stomach drop. Our house has always been full of sound. Patricia humming in the kitchen, the TV on in the background, her phone buzzing with texts from her book club friends. She's the kind of person who fills a space just by being in it. This silence felt like someone had sucked all the life out of our home. I pushed open the front door and found Tyler and Ashley sitting on our living room couch. Here's the part that still makes my blood run cold when I think about it. They weren't watching TV, they weren't on their phones. Ashley wasn't scrolling through Instagram like she usually does every waking moment. They were just sitting there like two people in a doctor's waiting room who already knew what the diagnosis was going to be. Tyler looked up first, and pay attention to this detail because it changed everything for me. He wasn't surprised to see me. Think about that. Your father, who's supposed to be in Phoenix until tomorrow, walks through the front door, and you don't even blink. No shock, no dad. What are you doing here? No jumping up, no explanation of why they're in the house. Nothing. Just a slow nod and a look I can only describe as calculated. Ashley smiled. That smile had no business being on anyone's face that afternoon. It was the kind of smile you give someone when you're trying very hard to appear normal and failing at a graduate level. "Tyler," I said, setting down my bags. "What's going on? Where's your mother?" He cleared his throat and exchanged a quick glance with Ashley. Another red flag. My son and daughter-in-law were communicating without words, and whatever they were saying to each other, I wasn't supposed to hear it. "Dad," he said slowly, "we were actually just about to call you. Mom had an episode this morning. She collapsed in the kitchen around 10 a.m. We called 911 immediately." Episode. That's the word he used. Not mom got sick or mom fainted episode, like it was something that had happened before, something they had a name for. "She's at Presbyterian Hospital right now," Ashley added quickly. "But the doctors say she's stable. We didn't want to panic you while you were at your conference." I didn't hear anything after Presbyterian Hospital. My ears started ringing, and I felt like someone had just punched me in the chest. Patricia, my wife of 32 years, the strongest woman I know, was in a hospital bed, and I was standing in my living room getting the news from my son like it was an afterthought. "How long has she been there?" I asked. "Since about noon," Tyler said. "We've been here waiting to hear from the doctors. We thought we should stay close to the house in case you called. Waiting to hear from the doctors, but not at the hospital. They were waiting at my house, sitting on my couch in my living room. Not pacing the hospital corridors like worried family members, not demanding answers from nurses. Sitting calmly in my house like they were watching a movie they'd already seen, I was back in my car in 10 seconds flat. Something about shock makes your brain focus on the strangest details while the important stuff tries to kill you. I remember counting the streetlights between our house and the hospital. 14. I remember the radio was playing some country song about lost love, and I thought how inappropriate that was. I remember my hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the steering wheel steady. I called Victor on the way. Victor Thompson has been my best friend since we both started our businesses back in 1995. He built Thompson Construction from a pickup truck and a toolbox into the most respected commercial contractor in North Dallas. The man's seen me through a midlife crisis, 2 recessions, my mother's death, and my disastrous attempt at growing a mustache in 2010. If anyone will tell me the truth without sugarcoating it, it's Victor. He picked up on the second ring. "Richard, what's up, brother? How's Phoenix?" "I'm back," I said. "Patricia's in the hospital, Presbyterian. I just got home and Tyler and Ashley were sitting in my living room like they were expecting bad news." Dead silence on his end. "Then, what do you mean, like they were expecting it?" "Victor, my son didn't even react when I walked through the door. I was supposed to be in Phoenix until tomorrow. When your dad shows up a day early and your mom's in the ICU, you don't just nod like he's the mailman." Another pause. "Richard, I need you to stay calm while you're driving." "I am calm," I said, taking the on-ramp to 635 faster than I should have. "No, you're not. You're doing 80 in a 45. That's not calm." He wasn't wrong. Presbyterian was 20 minutes from my house in normal traffic. I made it in 12. The emergency room at Presbyterian Hospital smells like disinfectant and fear. I've been there before. When Tyler broke his arm in Little League. When Patricia's father had his first heart attack. But this time felt different. This time, I was the one walking in alone, asking questions I didn't want the answers to. Dr. Carol Davis met me at the nurse's station. She was a no-nonsense woman in her early 50s, with steel-gray hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. The kind of doctor who delivers hard news with steady eyes and doesn't waste time on pleasantries. I needed steady right then. "Mr. Martinez," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Dr. Davis. I've been treating your wife since she arrived this morning. How is she? What happened?" She gestured toward a small consultation room. Never a good sign when they want privacy for the conversation. "Your wife was brought in by your son around noon today. She presented with severe disorientation, nausea, difficulty breathing, and some very concerning blood work results. We've stabilized her, but I want to be direct with you about what we found." I sat down hard in one of those uncomfortable hospital chairs. "What kind of concerning, doctor?" Davis pulled out a tablet and scrolled through what I assumed were Patricia's test results. We ran a comprehensive toxicology panel as standard procedure. The results show elevated levels of several compounds that shouldn't be in her system at these concentrations. Compounds? Specifically, we found evidence of medication tampering. Her regular prescriptions, blood pressure medication, vitamins, even her allergy medication all showed signs of alteration. Someone has been systematically adding substances that, when combined over time, would cause exactly the symptoms she's been experiencing. The words hit me like a physical blow. Medication tampering. Someone. I felt the room tilt slightly. "Dr. Davis, are you telling me someone has been poisoning my wife?" She held my gaze steadily. "I'm telling you that the pattern we're seeing isn't consistent with accidental overdose or natural illness. This appears to be deliberate, systematic, and it's been going on for months. The compounds we found suggest whoever did this has medical knowledge. They knew exactly how to alter her medications to create a gradual decline that would be difficult to detect." Medical knowledge. Ashley. Ashley was a dental hygienist. She knew about medications, drug interactions, dosages. She'd been helping Patricia with her daily pills for months after Patricia sprained her ankle back in June. "How long?" I asked. "Based on the compound levels in her blood and tissue samples, I'd estimate this has been happening for at least 4 to 6 months. The dosages were increased gradually. Whoever did this was very careful not to trigger immediate symptoms that would raise suspicion. 6 months." I thought back to when Patricia first started complaining about feeling tired all the time, when she started having trouble remembering things, when she stopped going to her book club meetings because she said the drive made her dizzy. I'd attributed it to aging, to stress from my increased travel schedule. I'd even suggested she see a doctor about hormone replacement therapy. "Can I see her?" "Of course. She's conscious now, though still weak." The good news is that we caught this before permanent damage occurred. With proper treatment and removal of the source, She should make a full recovery. I followed Dr. Davis down a corridor that seemed to stretch forever. My legs felt like they belonged to someone else. Through the window of room 314, I could see Patricia lying in a hospital bed, connected to monitors and IV lines. She looked smaller somehow, like someone had slowly drained everything that made her Patricia. I sat beside her and took her hand. It felt cold and fragile in mine. She opened her eyes slowly and looked at me. "Richard, you're supposed to be in Phoenix." "Conference ended early," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been hit by a truck. Tyler said you were flying back tonight." Tyler had told her I wouldn't be home until tonight. Tyler, who was sitting calmly in our living room instead of pacing hospital corridors. Tyler, whose wife had medical knowledge and access to Patricia's daily medications. "Patricia," I said carefully, "the doctors think someone has been tampering with your medications." She looked at me for a long moment with those sharp eyes that had always seen straight through me. Then, very quietly, she said, "It's Tyler and Ashley, isn't it?" Not a question, a statement. I didn't answer her directly. Instead, I squeezed her hand and said, "I'm going to find out exactly what happened, and I'm going to make sure whoever did this faces every consequence." Patricia closed her eyes. I should have seen it coming. Ashley's been so helpful these past few months, coming by every morning to check on me, organizing my pills. I thought she was finally becoming the daughter-in-law I always hoped for. The daughter-in-law who organized her pills. The daughter-in-law with medical training who knew exactly how to alter medications without triggering immediate suspicion. The daughter-in-law married to my son who had always shown more interest in my bank account than my well-being. I kissed Patricia's forehead. "Get some rest. I have some phone calls to make." Back in the hospital parking lot, I did what any reasonable man who suspects his family of attempted murder would do. I started gathering evidence. First call was to Nancy Wilson, the attorney who'd been handling my business legal matters for the past 15 years. Sharp as a tack and tougher than week-old steak when she needs to be. Nancy picked up on the first ring. "Richard, what's wrong? You sound like someone died." "Someone almost did. Patricia's in the hospital. The doctors think she's been systematically poisoned over the past 6 months. I need to know what my options are." Silence. Then, "Where are you right now?" "Presbyterian Hospital parking lot. Stay there. Don't go home, don't confront anyone, don't talk to Tyler or Ashley." "I'm making some calls and I'll be there in 30 minutes." While waiting for Nancy, I called my second lifeline. Steven Garcia had been recommended by Victor when I needed a background check on a potential business partner last year. Former Dallas PD detective, now running his own investigation firm. If anyone could help me build a case that would stick, it was Steven Garcia Investigations, Mr. Garcia. "This is Richard Martinez. Victor Thompson referred me to you last year for that Hartwell construction background check, I remember. What can I do for you, Mr. Martinez?" I gave him the bare facts. Patricia in the hospital, medication tampering, suspicion of family involvement, need for ironclad evidence. Stephen listened without interruption. "Mr. Martinez, I need you to understand something. If we're talking about attempted murder charges, everything has to be done exactly right. One procedural mistake, one contaminated piece of evidence, and the whole case falls apart. What do you need from me? Nothing yet. Don't touch anything at your house. Don't access any joint accounts. Don't confront the suspects. Give me 24 hours to pull preliminary information, then we'll meet and discuss strategy." After Stephen hung up, I sat in my car and did something I hadn't done since Patricia's father died. I pulled up our financial accounts on my phone and started looking for patterns I'd been too trusting to notice before. What I found made my stomach turn. Small withdrawals from our business emergency account over the past 4 months. $400 here, $600 there. Never large enough to trigger automatic notifications, but consistent enough to add up. When I totaled them, Tyler had taken $7,200 from an account he was only supposed to touch for genuine emergencies. $7,200. What kind of emergency required $7,200 in cash withdrawals over 4 months? And why hadn't he mentioned any emergencies to me? Nancy arrived looking like a woman who'd left her law office in the middle of something important. She slid into my passenger seat and pulled out a legal pad. "Tell me everything again. Start from when you walked into your house." I went through the whole story. Tyler and Ashley's strange behavior, the hospital revelations, the financial discrepancies. Nancy took notes in her precise handwriting, occasionally asking clarifying questions. "Richard, I need you to listen carefully. We're potentially looking at attempted murder, conspiracy, and financial fraud charges. These are serious felonies with serious prison time attached. Before we go down this road, I need to know you're prepared for what that means. What it means is that someone tried to kill my wife. What it means is that someone you raised, someone who calls you dad, might spend the next 10 to 15 years in prison. Are you prepared for that possibility? I thought about Patricia lying in that hospital bed, looking like a shadow of herself. I thought about the months of watching her decline while Tyler and Ashley played caring family members. I thought about the trust I'd placed in them, the business knowledge I'd shared with Tyler, the house key I'd given them for emergencies. Nancy, if Tyler did this, if he and Ashley planned this, then the son I raised is already gone. What's left is just someone wearing his face who tried to murder my wife for money. Nancy nodded. Then we build a case that will put them away for a very long time. That evening, Stephen called with preliminary findings that rearranged my understanding of my family completely. Tyler's internet search history told a story I wish I'd never learned. Searches for undetectable poisons, medication interactions, elderly, life insurance payout timelines, and inheritance law, Texas. But the real bombshell was what Stephen found in Patricia's insurance records. 3 months ago, she'd quietly updated her life insurance policy through her own agent, not our family one. She'd removed Tyler as beneficiary and redirected the entire $1.2 million payout to a medical charity she'd been researching. Tyler had found out about the change. Stephen pulled his phone records showing multiple calls to Patricia's insurance company, using his own number, trying to get information about the policy status. My son had discovered his mother was about to cut him out of over $1 million. Instead of having an adult conversation about it, instead of asking why or trying to understand her reasoning, he and Ashley had sat down and planned her murder. The timeline Stephen laid out was methodical and chilling. The insurance change happened in September. Tyler's internet searches started in October. Ashley began her daily helpful visits to organize Patricia's medications in November. The financial withdrawals started in December. 6 months of planning. 6 months of slowly poisoning my wife while playing the role of concerned family. That night I sat in Patricia's hospital room and watched her sleep. The monitors beeped steadily. The IV dripped medication to counteract months of systematic poisoning, and I made plans to destroy the people who had done this to her. Not emotional plans, not revenge fantasies, methodical, legal, ironclad plans that would put them exactly where they belonged. Because that's what you do when someone tries to kill your family. You don't get mad, you get even. And you make sure they never get the chance to hurt anyone again. The next morning, Stephen delivered the final pieces of evidence that would seal Tyler and Ashley's fate. Security footage from 3 different pharmacies showed Ashley purchasing specific medications with cash over the past 5 months, not medications prescribed to her. Medications that matched exactly what Dr. Davis had found in Patricia's bloodstream. Nancy walked me through the legal strategy. We're filing charges simultaneously: attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, elder abuse, and financial fraud. Stephen's evidence package is airtight. The DA's office has already reviewed the preliminary materials, and they're prepared to prosecute aggressively. How long before they're arrested this afternoon? We're coordinating with hospital security to make sure Patricia is protected during the process. Tyler and Ashley came to visit that morning, carrying flowers and wearing expressions that would have fooled anyone who didn't know what they'd done. Tyler walked into Patricia's room with the confidence of a man who thought he was still in control of the situation. "Dad, how's Mom doing today?" "We brought her favorite daisies." I stood up from the chair beside Patricia's bed. "She's going to make a full recovery." "Complete recovery." Ashley stepped forward. "That's such wonderful news. We've been praying for her." Praying? These people had been slowly murdering my wife for 6 months, and they'd been praying for her. "Tyler," I said calmly, "I need you to answer a question for me. When you took $7,200 from our business emergency account over the past 4 months, what exactly was the emergency?" The color drained from his face so fast it was almost comical. Ashley's hand went to her phone, then stopped midway like she'd forgotten how to complete the motion. "Dad, I can explain that. We had some unexpected expenses with Ashley's student loans, and I was going to talk to you about it when you got back from Phoenix. Student loans that required cash withdrawals. Student loans that you paid off 2 years ago, according to the paperwork you showed me." Tyler opened his mouth, closed it, then looked at Ashley. That look told me everything I needed to know about their partnership in this. "And Ashley," I continued, "when you were helping Mom organize her medications every morning, did you happen to notice anything unusual about them? Any changes in color, texture, or effects?" Ashley's composure cracked like ice in warm water. "What are you saying?" I'm saying that the police will be here in about 10 minutes to arrest both of you for the attempted murder of my wife. Patricia spoke for the first time since they'd arrived. Tyler, I changed my insurance policy 3 months ago. I removed you as beneficiary. Did you think I wouldn't find out you'd been calling the insurance company asking questions? Tyler's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Shock, anger, panic, and finally something that looked like resignation mixed with defiance. Mom, you don't understand the kind of financial pressure we're under. Ashley's career isn't taking off like we hoped. My IT job doesn't pay enough to build any real wealth, and you and Dad are sitting on all this money that's just going to go to charity anyway. There it was, the entitlement that had been hiding behind 28 years of birthday hugs and Christmas presents. My son genuinely believed that our money belonged to him, that Patricia's decision to leave her insurance to charity was somehow theft from his future inheritance. So you decided to kill her for it, I said. Not a question. We decided to help her transition peacefully, Ashley said, and the clinical way she said those words made my blood run cold. The medications I added would have made her decline gradual and natural looking. She wouldn't have suffered. They'd convinced themselves they were being merciful. They'd rationalized attempted murder as a kindness. The police arrived exactly on schedule. Detective Martinez, no relation despite the name, led the arrest team. Tyler tried to lawyer up immediately, which told me he'd been researching more than just poisons. Ashley went quiet and cooperative, which suggested she'd already decided to negotiate a plea deal. Nancy had warned me this moment would be difficult, watching my son get handcuffed in a hospital room. What surprised me was how little I felt. No anger, no grief, no regret. Just a cold satisfaction that justice was finally happening. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Nancy prosecuted with the precision of a surgeon and the ruthlessness of a shark. Stephen's evidence was overwhelming. The medical testimony was damning, and Tyler's own internet search history painted a picture of premeditated murder that even his expensive defense attorney couldn't explain away. Tyler got 12 years. Ashley got 8. When the verdicts were read, I was sitting in that courtroom holding Patricia's hand, watching two people I'd once considered family learn what consequences actually look like. Patricia squeezed my hand and whispered, "Justice tastes better than I expected." That evening, we went to dinner at the Italian place on Mockingbird Lane that had started this whole nightmare. Patricia ordered the chicken parmesan she'd been craving for months, ate every bite, and told me it was the best meal she'd had all year. Victor and Nancy joined us. Dr. Davis stopped by after her shift. We sat around that table like people who'd survived something terrible together and come out stronger on the other side. Patricia raised her wine glass. To Richard, who came home early and saved my life. I raised mine back. To Patricia, who survived and came back fighting. 6 months later, Patricia started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, teaching women how to recognize the signs of systematic abuse. She says her experience gives her credibility that no textbook could provide. I restructured our entire estate plan, removing Tyler completely and establishing ironclad protections against financial elder abuse. Our attorney now conducts annual audits of all our accounts. Look, I know this story sounds extreme. Most families don't try to murder each other for insurance money. But financial elder abuse is happening in families all across this country right now today. Adult children who feel entitled to their parents' resources. In-laws who see aging family members as obstacles to inheritance. People who rationalize theft and abuse as somehow justified. You can't control what people choose to become when they think nobody's watching, but you can control how you protect yourself and the people you love. Trust, but verify. Document everything. Don't give anyone more access to your finances than they absolutely need. And if something feels wrong, investigate it immediately. Most importantly, remember that blood relation doesn't guarantee loyalty. Some people will choose money over family every single time. Your job is to make sure they face exactly what they deserve when they do.
I am so lucky to have you. I know, I feel the same. All right, another day. Let's do this.